Hello everyone, we are today in ICT Forum in Samarkand, and today we are launching the Fintech TV under the Fintech Association, and we have some excellent guests today to discuss some Fintech trends and the development. We have some guests, which is Rafal Trepka, General Manager of Mastercard, and we also have a Vice President, Brian Kuwik, from the company Accion. So thank you very much for attending the ICT Forum today, and we're happy to see you both. So Rafal, the first question is for you from the audience. We wanted to understand a little bit more about Mastercard's vision and plans for Uzbekistan.
Thank you very much for invitation. A great day, or actually days today in Uzbekistan, in Samarkand. As usual, ICT Week, great event. When you were asking about the vision, the plans, I mean, they are very similar as our global vision, mission, and also, I would say, and values. So I usually like to connect these three pieces. So if you look at the vision, it's more like world beyond cash. So all about the non-cash transactions, electronic payments, and all the others. If you look from the mission perspective, it's more how do we use our technologies, our services every day, everywhere. So for the people, it's very easy to pay, very simple, very quick, and even more important, very secure. So transaction goes very smoothly, very quickly, but it's very important that it goes also very securely. So everything what is happening in the background. So vision, more, let's say, world beyond cash. Mission, more technologies for the everyday payments. And as well as in Uzbekistan, it's a very, let's say, human, very relationship type of the country. So therefore, I linked our Mastercard values with that as well. So one of our values is directly partnership and trust. You can't really do the good business without good partnership and trust. But then it's also, let's say, we need to move faster. So at the same time, it's agility, it's accountability, and it's ownership. So whoever then does the business have to lead on that. That's our global part from Mastercard, which is then translated to the regions, to the countries. So I would say in Uzbekistan, very similar. So if we look at our initiatives with the banks, it's all about how we can move cash to electronic payments. It's not just to move cash to electronic payments, it's also how to improve the user experience. The better user experience you have, the quicker you can move to electronic payments. And electronic payments can be for the normal standard food products in the face-to-face environment, or it can be as well for e-commerce payments. And then that's the second part about the technologies. So also how we can keep bringing to Uzbekistan, and that's what we do with a lot of partners. And when I say partners, these are mainly banks which issue or acquire, but not only. Ecosystem is a bit wider, and we can talk about this later. So how do we use the different technologies? Whether it's about the tokenization, whether it's about sending the money, not just payment, but about, for example, like переводы, all related to send. Different type of the products as well, not only debit, even credit cards, which were so far, let's say, less popular. Commercial cards, very important. Today we talk a lot about the SMEs and others. And when I say card, it's not just the plastic. Right now we talk about the virtual cards, about the tokenized cards, etc. So a lot of related to that. And something which normally we don't see is all related to cyber security, intelligence. So everything is, yes, smooth, fast, but it's safe and secure. And I'm not even talking about, let's say, basics like about the contactless technologies and many others. All with partnership and trust and a bit of, let's say, speed of implementation.
Good. Rafal, just to understand, the technology is very powerful, right? So it can bring and develop a lot of consumer demands and consumer, requirements. But when it comes to, Uzbekistan, we see a lot of people who don't really trust the technology. That's first of all. And most of our population is really like cash. Cash is a king for them, right? So how to actually change that mentally, right? To have that mental shift towards the technology and really give them the boost of confidence to use the technology. What are the steps and how long do you see from the Mastercard perspective? How long will it need for the population to get a little bit more comfortable with the technology as such?
one is the technology, one is the electronic payments. Electronic payments normally do not have to be like very sophisticated, but few things. Firstly, if people like something, they normally adapt very quickly. Yes, it may be true that somewhere in the regions, I'm not talking directly, let's say maybe in Tashkent, Samarkand, other cities, people may be more familiar. In other regions, a bit less. Maybe they didn't have access. But in this case, for example, a simple plastic cards may help as well. It's also depending whether they are already all equipped with the smartphones, what type of smartphones are this, what you can really do, how good it is, etc. But there are also some bases you can already keep moving people to electronic payments. And by the way, when I say payments, these are not only payments. Firstly, you need to get money on the account. So how easy it is for people to keep receiving pensions, salaries in cash. Yes, of course, it may be good to talk to the postman. But at the end, you get it in the electronic version, doesn't matter. You can do a lot in the remote way. So it's not only about payments, it's also about, let's say, accepting the payments in the electronic way, which later on you can choose. So it's not only getting familiar with technologies, in my opinion, but simply talking about this, educating, explaining. You can do it in an electronic way. And if even, let's say, looking about any positives about pandemic period, certainly this remote way, electronic way, these are the positives which also are coming out of the pandemic. So that's probably, let's say, one. And by the way, what is also very positive in Uzbekistan is that central bank ministries are really supportive for all these activities. So it's also very positive from the governmental and public institutions.
That potentially can definitely develop.
It certainly exactly. It certainly speeds up. It certainly helps to somehow standardize and make this education to the market. So that's more about the education. On the other side, what is also, if I compare Uzbekistan with, let's say, a bit more even worldwide, Brian probably can do it even better. But in this case, it's a very young population. So yes, maybe there is some, let's say, shift towards the technology, but it's also a very young country in this case. So naturally, young people will be more prone and more, let's say, dealing easier with, even if there is a very sophisticated technology coming, and they can also push it further. So I would firstly talk about the rather, I call it literacy, in this case, and more like getting comfortable with dealing in the electronic way, call it in the remote way. As well, I don't need to go to the shop. The shopping can arrive, or whatever products can arrive to me in case I need a product and I can't move. In this case, and then, as I said, young people certainly helping with that. And just as a third one, I will also return a bit to the different governmental initiatives, and not only anything related to fintech, startups, and Uzbekistan, even in the recent time, is very proactive with that. So I think if we combine at least these three pieces together, it shall give a very big boost to the country.
But how about the fact that we've got a very big proportion of population still unbanked, and in some areas we still have that lacking of a very strong internet connectivity, right? So although we do have those phones, and most of us have iPhones, like final version, but at the same time we cannot really surf online. So how does this stop in terms of penetrating the technology into those, that kind of a young generation and getting them adopted to the technology?
Even what we have heard today from the presentations, it's changing. So it's developing very fast as well, like probably faster than ever. So this internet connectivity is almost like getting to each and every part. There are also some solutions which are working offline, even if something does not work online in this case. So there are different solutions which can be captured. But again, it's like how Uzbekistan and entire Uzbekistan may look, 1 year, 2 years, 3 years from now. I'm based in Almaty. Whenever I come to Uzbekistan, Tashkent or other places, I'm amazed, because literally like every time, and I'm coming, let's say, out relatively often. Every time something is changing, something is evolving. So
you can see the dynamic.
It is a big dynamic, and I really call it trust in the country, and I see it's very quickly developing.
Very good. So when do you project to have at least 90% of population might be using only online payments and receiving, the payment itself, to have that online transaction? Like, how do you see that happening within 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, or maybe even, shorter period of time, hopefully?
We have a crystal ball to tell, but it's more like, literally like looking at the trends, we also see it with our transactions as well. So every year, every period, every quarter, you can observe more and more cashless transactions. Yeah? And again, like simple technologies like this, what I mentioned, so chip and PIN is already helping. Contactless is helping a lot because I can quickly I can tap my card or actually a phone. And as soon as I'm tapping a phone, also this, certainly changing in Uzbekistan, this famous give me your card, tell me your PIN. And by the way, it is very embedded into the society. However, once you are already starting to pay with your phone, it is changing very quickly for everyone, and also for the shop assistant who is accepting. So certainly this is very, very quickly improving. How many more online stores there are? Again, and if I try to look as much as possible for the positives as well from the pandemic. So, how many more shops started to sell online? Deliveries became much better, and not only delivery in Tashkent or in Samarkand, also in some other areas. So for people, it's much easier. It's not only shopping for a movie or a game. It's literally buying for basic products. And even, by the way, other products, shoes, clothing, even pharma, which these are the categories, let's say, almost not at all popular before. So because it's speeding up, I would say it's rather like a hockey stick than just a linear growth. Plus, on top of that, right now, Uzbekistan is amazingly positioned from the even geographical perspective, economical perspective, being in the middle as well across many different countries. So it's also becoming a good platform for overall trade. In this case, also e-commerce trade. So because of these different factors, in my opinion, it is. We already see, and it will rather move as a hockey stick than just a linear growth.
Very good. Thank you very much, Rafal. So, Brian, I hope you are not tired. So, obviously, I would like you to give us a little bit more clarity about the company. What do you do, and what the company is offering currently as a Mastercard partner?
So, Accion is a global nonprofit that works to improve financial inclusion, primarily through harnessing technology. And we've been working for over 60 years, primarily in emerging markets. We're based in the US, but primarily working in Latin America, Africa, and Asia. And just in these past few years, we've started working in Central Asia, especially here in Uzbekistan. It was our first country that we worked in Central Asia. So we're very excited about the opportunities here and the great potential of the market. And we have 3 pillars that we work on, one being impact investing. We take equity stakes in microfinance banks and inclusive fintech companies in these emerging markets. Number 2, we're providing advisory services and solutions to banks, microfinance institutions, and fintechs that are looking to change their business models, make them more agile, flexible, also helping them transform digitally, because we have a lot of, especially in the banking sector, institutions that are still in the analog phase and are working their way toward digital, so we can accompany them in that process. And then the third area where we work is we have a think tank called the Center for Financial Inclusion, which is doing research and a lot of thought leadership in the financial inclusion space. So again, we're really happy to be here for ICT Week and to learn more about what's going on in Uzbekistan. There's a lot of important developments happening in the market that are improving the ecosystem and making it a place for investors, to making it easier for investors like us to to find opportunities and develop those companies.
Excellent. The fact that you are here right now, it already indicates that there is a very good opportunity and development for the banking financial services industry. So what I wanted to understand is probably a little bit tricky question, since obviously most of the banks currently state-owned, right? So how do you assess the level of willingness to go through this transition and really embrace digitalization? Is it only still, because before COVID, we were just talking about digital transformation, but it's just a few banks that actually embrace that, right? During the COVID, we saw that people actually and banks started to react and adopt very quick services and products. And after the COVID, this is where we could see that most of the banks actually started to think towards that. So today, I just want to understand how you really assess this digitalization journey for the banks, whether they're on the right track, whether they still have quite a lot, a very long journey to go.
Well, I think what you described is common throughout the world. So the banks are all kind of looking at digital transformation as a big challenge and that it's going to take time. So I wouldn't say Uzbekistan is very different from other markets that we're operating in. We've actually been working with one of the state-owned banks, Microcredit Bank. We have a cooperation agreement in place with them to help improve financial inclusion in the country, and they definitely have a strong view that they need to transform digitally and adjust their operations and business models to make them both more agile and flexible and to better reach the customers, especially as you start to get out of the big cities and where they have a presence of over 70 branches in the peri-urban and rural areas. It's even more important to have technology and the tools to reach those customers in a cost-effective way. Because for us, having operated in this space for many years, trying to reach low-income households and micro and small businesses, as well as smallholder farmers around the world, it's definitely been clear that with technology is a big game changer, and for banks like Microcredit Bank and other banks in the market that want to reach that broader market and not just continue to serve the top 10% of the population, it's really important to have a wide range of tools and with a technology platform that's flexible and that can deploy many of these tools and products and services that gives them a competitive advantage. And I think more and more banks are seeing that.
But what about, obviously everybody wants to be technologically advanced, right? But when it comes to actually making it, right, or making it happen, we sometimes, or very often, will lack the resources, especially the capacity itself. And that's very true for Uzbekistan because obviously fintech hasn't been developed and banks are, yes, we are underdeveloped when it comes to the world type of standards, but at the same time, the direction or the domain itself hasn't been advanced for these reasons. And obviously we don't really have the resources. How do you usually advise your clients on to how to overcome that? Are there any metrics in place, any models in place that actually will allow them to make a very quick leap, right? Rather than, training, because training and educating people, it's maybe takes 1 year, 2 years, but it's a long term. But how is it to make it? Because people have to be ready for this change. Change management has to be in place. So how do you see this happening, and how do you normally advise banks to go that way, and what needs to be taken, what steps needs to be taken?
Well, definitely, when you embark on the journey, it has to start from the top. And so your supervisory board, your senior management, they all have to buy in and have to provide that leadership to be able to push through all the challenges that will come. There will be, from some of your staff, resistance to these changes, especially when they lack the training and the skills. So, showing people that you're willing to invest in them, to provide them with those skills, that you yourselves are, also upgrade your skills as the leaders of the institution, that's critical. and then putting in place a plan. It's not just going to happen overnight, but giving yourself a realistic plan, whether it's 12 months, 24 months, and hitting certain key milestones in that plan, making sure that you have some quick wins that you can achieve during those first 3 to 6 months, I think is really critical. And I think as you build some momentum, the staff morale, I think will improve. Because whenever you announce a change management, people are always going to be worried, well, is my job on the line? But when they see that, yes, but when they see that actually I can be a part of this, this actually helps me to do my job better in a more efficient way. It's not only better for me as an employee, but for the bank. I can see that the bank's profitability, its results are getting better. I think that's where you start to slowly build in the buy-in. And then when the clients see the big difference and start to give that feedback to the staff, I think then the staff become even prouder of their achievements and what the institution is doing. So, being at the kind of the cutting edge, leading the wave, I think is for any institution is going to make a big difference, both in staff morale as well as the positive client feedback.
Excellent. But I wanted to also talk about the SME development, which is very, very important topic lately for the country, where, obviously that's very important to the economy of the country. So one of the key aspects is to understand how the financial technology, we're not just talking about the digitalization as such, but the instruments are important in order to develop the SME. What type of boost it gives, and obviously the advantages to embrace that.
I mean, especially in Uzbekistan, where you have MSMEs contributing 75% of employment, it's really an important sector to focus on. How can we help them to digitalize their operations? And it's not just about financial services; it's also about their accounting, how they're doing accounting, keeping track of their sales, how are they actually marketing and selling their products. And it doesn't mean that they have to necessarily join an e-commerce platform, but it can just be about improving their skills in photographing their products so that they're doing it in a more professional way, and that they can post it on Instagram in a way that presents it according to the standards that most consumers are looking for. So we've been talking to a variety of players in Uzbekistan about how can the fintech, the providers that are deploying digital business solutions, as we call them, these types of accounting and sales digitalization packages, how can we cooperate better with the financial service providers like the banks and the payment fintechs to better reach out to micro and small businesses to help them digitalize and better take advantage of these tools. I think it's still at an early phase, and as Rafal was saying, it all starts with payments. I think right now, too many of the payments in the market are handled through cash. And so, and I think only maybe 5% of consumers have actually done a digital payment in a merchant's premises. So, we need to see that number start to ramp up and get it more, closer to 30-40%. And once it hits that kind of threshold, I think the ecosystem will be much more vibrant. And we'll be moving away from the cash transactions. Because once you have the cash transaction, the digital transactions, whether it's through a device or through a virtual card being used on a mobile phone, then that data can be easily used and collected by these digital business solutions to help these micro businesses do their accounting, generate performance reports on how the business is performing, kind of open their eyes to all the different trends and dynamics of their own business, so they can decide, well, maybe I need to invest in this area, or maybe I need to buy more of this merchandise, or diversify my suppliers. all with the goal of helping them to better manage and become more profitable and grow more.
Oh, okay, so obviously the digitalization leads to data collection, which is on top of that means the analytics and much better understanding of the consumer demands and better probably service or the product that they effectively provide to the market.
Yeah.
Yeah, very good. Okay, thank you very much for the informative discussion. We were very glad to have you here as a guest today and really hope that you enjoy the rest of the week in ICT Forum. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you for the invitation and good luck to whoever will be listening, and hopefully there are some useful information. So.
Thank you, and we are looking forward to also having you tomorrow, your colleagues from Mastercard, tomorrow on the session of Fintech. Thank you very much.
Thank you.